Hey, internet friends, it's me, Bradley G, here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I'm starting another episode of Synergy Cafe. Ba-da-dum. And I've got my, I'm gonna leave her as a mystery guest. Should I do that? I can't do that because her name is in the title, so you already know. So this is fun because I love coincidences and synchronicities and stuff because to me that's what happens when, like some people say, there's no such thing as a coincidence, but I look at it as a co-hyphen incidence where two things are coming together and they're converging in synergy. So that's what a coincidence is to me, the serendipity and all that stuff. So I'm going to go get Elizabeth. But first, I'm going to introduce myself with my Synergy Cafe online show intro.
Greetings, internet friends. Welcome to another episode of the Synergy Cafe online show, featuring speaker, entertainer, close-up illusionist, and marketing alchemist, Magic Brad. It's the internet lifestyle show about career, finance, relationships, spirituality, and wellness. We're moving the online chatter over to real-life activity. And now, please welcome your host of Synergy Cafe, Magic Brad.
Boom! He's back. Bradley G's here. So why do I call myself Bradley G? Because my last name is Goodham, but people don't know how to spell it. And if they know how to spell it, they don't know how to say it. So I just ended up with Magic Brad. Dun, dun, dun. That's my brand. And I'm going to bring on my friend Elizabeth. She knows a lot about branding because she's authentic. Where is she?
Mm-hmm. Hey, Brad.
There you are. Good day. How are you doing?
Doing all right.
You look Christmassy.
Do I?
Yes, you got
no, I just feel pregnant.
Okay. Are you?
I'm pretty pregnant right now. I've got about 5 weeks.
You can't tell from here.
Well, I don't know. I guess
I'm getting good at it.
Free. So yeah, I'm sitting here in my studio. I'm not in a closet. These are all costumes here behind me.
Okay, that's your wardrobe.
Yeah, it's my wardrobe.
I get it. Well, that was fun. We had a little conversation before I launched the show. It sounds like there's a lot of cool stuff going on in your world, and I'm making some shifts and changes because things are different, man. They're different. And I've been working at it in my head, trying to figure out what this new culture is. And I can't really put my finger on what it is. And maybe someday you and I can have an in-depth conversation like I do with Casey. Because I know that people still want to connect with people. Mm-hmm. I mean, have you ever driven your car and you stop at a stoplight and you look over and you notice that someone's looking at you? That's because humans want to connect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that's still happening. I mean, this online stuff is fine and everything, but I want to talk a little bit about your branding experience because I've always understood a brand kind of like what they do with the cow. They brand the cow. And that shows that that's the rancher's identity, that cow is my cow. It's got our universal brand on it. Whereas I think some people don't understand what a brand is. They just think it's a big thing like Target Corporation is a brand.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's an old way of doing things. And I think that it's changing. You know, again, like you were talking about the changes that are happening right now. And the old way has been think like I'm thinking there's a show that's all about like branding in the 1950s. I cannot remember what that's called, but in any case, when it started, it was all about making it look a certain way and appealing to a certain demographic to sell a product. And so you would actually you'd chameleon yourself so that you could be enticing to that group of people that you were trying to reach. Now, it's important to know your target market. It's very important. However, to shift and change with a chameleon is not very authentic. And especially the young people of today, they couldn't care less. Like that is going to be the biggest turnoff. So what I prefer to do when I'm working with a person who's either a public speaker or out there as a coach or a more like a business, is that I'm looking at, well, who are you? Why are you doing what you're doing? And then we discover, okay, is your target market even the person you think it is? Because sometimes it's really not. Most people are thinking, well, I want the people that have money. But I think we were just talking about a second ago, like I've worked with people who have a lot of money and are not my ideal client. And if they pay me $6,000,
ideal nightmare, right?
yeah, it's like I want to pay them so that I can make the nightmare stop. And then there's the one, there's these people.
How much do I owe you? Nothing. I owe you.
Exactly. No, I've had that. Have you had that happen to you before where you're like, oh my God, I don't care if you just gave me, $10,000. I want to give it back. And I just want to be done.
It's toxic money.
It's not fun. It's just incredibly icky. And then there's those people that scrounge and save to be able to work with you and value you so deeply. And what's the difference? Like, how do you find the person that's like that? And I believe it is you draw those people in energetically. So how you present yourself is going to draw in either your nightmare client or your ideal one. So I help you figure out who is your ideal client, but it's based on who you are.
Yeah, it's good to learn how to say no, because sometimes someone might give you this, here's a $10,000 client. Is it really worth $10,000 to deal with this, what it's going to do to your stress levels and your perceived value and all that stuff? Is it really worth $10,000, or could you go get two people that are kind, nice, and friendly for $5,000 each?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, therapy bills alone.
Yeah, there you go.
And it can be so disheartening working with someone like that you think about things like closing your business down. I mean, I've known people that have had such nightmare clients that they're like, maybe I shouldn't do this anymore. And that's just awful. It's a horrible place to be, because basically what those
building your lifestyle and your business on somebody else's personality.
Exactly. And they weren't your ideal client to begin with. It doesn't matter if they were going to pay you all the money that you could dream of. They're not your ideal client.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to me, when I think of branding, I think of companies like Apple or Harley Davidson, where someone would tattoo your logo on their back. They're so dedicated.
Yes. And it's important. You want to be memorable, right? But the best way to be memorable is to be yourself. And a lot of people don't know what that looks like, though.
Well, I think that's what you had mentioned about that nightmare client. That's just it. They need you more than they know, because they don't know themselves. Because deep down, they're probably a nice person, but instead they're degrading you, saying, why are you charging so much money? And how come you were late? Or how come I can't cancel? And end up being, you forgive them for they know not what they do, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I find that working with people who know themselves just enough is so much more fun. That's why my target market is actually women who want to empower themselves and want to make their lives better. That is my target market. Generally they are over 40 years old, because generally people who are over 40 have a little bit more money. I mean, that's always a good thing to have in mind.
We're a little stable.
But it's not necessarily, they're more stable. Also, the cool thing about women in their 40s is once they hit about 40, they don't give a shit what everybody else says. Like, they want to be themselves. And those are my ideal clients. So it just happens to be that it fits into that demographic. So I'm very focused on serving those clients. It's not, women who like to work out, who live around Lake Minnetonka and have billionaire husbands. I mean, you could choose that as your demographic, but I'm thinking you might not be super happy in the end, because you got to think about the spirit of these people. Like, what are they trying to do in life? What are they trying to, what does this mean to them in the end? Is it just a transaction? I'm not interested in anything that's just a transaction.
I had a couple of ideas going through my head when you were talking about that person, because I know that there's that prestigious Edina, West Side, Lake Minnetonka people that they might have their nose in the air. There are another section of those people that are genuine, authentic, kind, nice people. They just happen to have millions of dollars, and it's a lot harder to find them because they're not driving around in a Lexus or a Maserati.
Exactly.
It's a little difficult to find that person, but they are there. So maybe it's better just to go to Northeast and find the real deal or something.
Well, I think it's best to find people who resonate with you. So
Yes.
go where you are being asked to go. Like when people get excited about you, that's where you need to spend more of your time.
Mhm.
And it doesn't, yes, like you don't want to be throwing a bunch of work after people who don't have anything to pay you. But at the same time, like you need raving fans to get a business going. That is like huge, having raving fans. So you need a good business plan and you need to stick to your guns on your pricing so you're not devaluing yourself, but you also need to create raving fans. So I think the best way to do that with pricing is you actually create a way to be able to work with anybody. And it's a little tricky, but it actually is a simplified price list where you're actually looking at how do you serve people individually rather than having like this huge long list of numbers and products. And so it's like going to a fancy restaurant when someone sits down and says, "Hey, I don't really like anything on the menu. Can you make me this?" And then you're like, "Yeah." But most people, they'll just sit down and take what's on the menu. But every once in a while you get that person you can serve, and when they get served, they are so happy because you're the one person who's willing to just do what they need.
Exactly. I mean, there was a guy, speaking of Harley Davidson, his name is Jim Cathcart, and he was a speaker, and he talked about the acorn principle, that you plant an acorn, and as it grows up, it ends up being an oak tree. Even if it tries to be a redwood, or it might try to be an elm, it doesn't grow up that way. It's got to be what its true, authentic essence is, and then it grows up, and you go, there you go with it. And he told a story about he had been buying Harley Davidsons for years, and he went to the Harley Davidson store because he had a pair of gloves that didn't fit. He wanted to return them, but didn't have the receipt. The kid at the cash register said, "I can't do that." And he tells this story, but you should be able to do that. Your manager should be able to give you the authentic, or the, what's the word, the authority
Mhm.
to be able to say, "You've been a good customer. We're going to return those $20 gloves." That's
Mhm.
a good customer service kind of thing. And that then reflects authentically on the
Mhm.
brand.
Well, it's more personal.
See what
Like
I did there?
people get so tired of working with corporations that have all these rules and bureaucracy and aren't really interested in the spirit of their in the soul of their people that they're serving.
That kind of brings up what I was going to ask before, because this is a video thing. This is the next best thing to being live and in person, because I can actually listen to you and the cadence in your voice and feel the emotion. It's
Mhm.
much better than text or emails or memes and all that kind of stuff. The question is, are you expanding your business, because you're local here on the west side of Minneapolis, and you got your studio and you do your photography and you do your branding all
Mhm.
there. You got some events coming up too that I want to talk about. But you had mentioned earlier that you're thinking about getting it off outside of the actual live event. So you're looking to do digital type stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that I'm starting is women empowerment events. So we're going to do our first one on the 20th of October. It's from 6 to 9. If you look up yourauthenticreflections.com, you can find it. It's $10 to attend. And we're going to have these women speakers come in who are inspiring, educational, and we're going to even have some music. I'm going to always try to have some music in there. What I've been thinking is that I'd like to take these speakers and showcase them online as well. So I've been kind of debating about whether I want to make it go video or podcasting. So we're going to have to chat about that because I need a little bit of insight. But I think that by doing this, I can start helping these people get their messages out. And the rule for me is that we're not going to be promoting our businesses as we're doing the speaking engagement. You may be, you may teach about health, um, and you may sell a health product, right? That's totally fine. Or maybe there's some people, there's one lady that's going to talk, and she's usually a therapist, and she's going to share her story of, it's going to be very impactful and empowering for those who've gone through things like her. And those are the things that those are the things we need. We need stories now. Everyone has come out of this really traumatic time with the pandemic. We're trying to connect. We have been really, disconnected because we haven't been able to have real conversations that talk about the things we're going through. It's been it's really hard right now, I feel like, to really resonate with people like that.
I totally get it, because you might say something where somebody might lash out and say, "You're
Mhm.
wrong."
Because everybody's having their own experience, right?
Right. Mhm.
Everyone and they so what I want to be able to help create is a safe way for people to be able to just express their experience.
Right. Non-judgmental.
Exactly. And I think that by just putting these stories out, it's so awesome. I mean, I've been trying to figure out a way to do this for a while, because every time I have a client, as I said, most of my clients are these women who are trying to make their lives better, and they have such amazing stories. So I feel like I have an endless supply of storytellers right now who are willing to share their story and how they've grown and how they've changed in life. And by the time you're 40 years old, I mean, you're full of stories. And I just love hearing them, because it gives you a better understanding and perspective of the world and where we're at right now.
Is that your demographic then? Is women that are seeking empowering opportunities in the age group of 30 to
Yeah.
60 plus?
Hmm. Yep. People who are trying, a lot of times they're going through transformative times in their lives, or they have experienced something in the past that was very transformative, and it set them on a path of loving themselves, which is just, I used to think that it was my job to help people love themselves better, and that was what I was doing as a photographer, was helping people see themselves in their best light and things like that. But what I actually found is that my ideal client already loves themselves. They're already on that journey. They're already doing the work. And what they're actually doing when they come to me is they're celebrating.
Okay, that's a good point. And now that I'm got all that nasty stuff behind me, take a picture now.
Yeah. Well, it's like you want to commemorate what you've gone through, and you
Sure.
want to be able to express it in an art form. And when I'm working with businesses, it's a little different when we're branding, and they're looking for someone to help them really clarify how they're showing up in the world. Like, okay, you may know yourself really well as a business owner, but sometimes you think that you're supposed to do things a different way because it's a business, and I have to do this in a business way. Well, no, it's you take your principles, you take your personality, and you put it into your business, and you show it off to the world. And that's how you get attention. That's how you get a brand that's memorable.
This is a little off our topic a little bit, but it came in, and I sometimes when something comes into my head, I just want to express it and see if there's a connection there. And recently, I've got someone that has a friend that got separated.
Mm.
And because they were married, the husband was the breadwinner, she was the homemaker. When they separated, all of a sudden there was all this stress of, how am I going to make this work now? So, could it possibly be that your women empowerment group are more entrepreneurial type women, or want to maybe not start a business, but figure out a way of generating an income? Because I don't think you need a business to generate substantial income. You just need
Well,
a
exactly. That's why I say when I do branding, I work with people and businesses, because the fact of the matter is, you've got TikTok now. People can just go on TikTok and start a business overnight that's doing
start a revenue stream.
Yeah, they start a revenue stream, and it's not necessarily it's not what people typically think of as a business. It's a
Right.
completely
You might get it registered with the Secretary of State, so you can have a business bank account to protect
Mhm.
yourself from any liable stuff. But it's not necessarily, okay, I got to get myself a store and create a big sign. And
Mhm. But there's a learning curve to all of this, and it's always important that you're expressing yourself as clearly as possible, because like I said, if you're expressing yourself clearly, you will resonate with the people you want to work with.
I was just thinking, I'm so jealous and envious of you.
Oh,
But
why?
I'm happy for you because I think you found a niche, whether it's your divine path or whatever, whether it's your purpose. Everybody's looking for their purpose. But that's kind of what I'm going through right now, trying to figure out what do I got to. I got to do something that's different because I've been in entertainment as a magician, Magic Brad, and I've been in the event world for so long, and I'm just so tired of it. It doesn't jazz me anymore. It used to be when I would drive down the road and I see a catering truck, I take down the phone number because I might be able to get them in my trade show, and I don't have that anymore. I'm trying to find something else. But I think what you've got here, I mean, you are an empowering woman, so it fits pretty good there. And I want to talk to you more about this. I got some ideas to create more like a series and then create an online, offline hybrid situation or something.
Absolutely.
Yes,
No, I should probably have a branding session just with you and we can talk about it. Because the thing that I've found is sometimes people, especially when I'm working with someone on businesses, what we'll start talking about is like, I'll ask them questions like, so what gets you excited about their business? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm going, oh God, that's a problem.
That's how my business has been for the last few years.
Yeah, and then there's actually like a deep dive you have to do when you're in that space.
It is. I've been doing yoga and meditation, trying to wipe the slate clean. But as soon as you come out of your meditative state, you start thinking about all the stuff you did from ages 1 to 7, and that's what your brand is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about branding, your personality brand. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily what I want.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm stuck with it because my brain goes back to thinking about all those old things where sometimes you need to shake it up and say, the new me is different.
Well, what is it? Yeah, we got to find what lights you on fire, Brad. That's what we got to do.
Matches.
You could be a fire dancer.
I could be a pyromaniac. I don't want to be on fire. I wish I had some of my props here. I was going to grab something like that and light a little fire, but I won't.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, we'll have to deep dive into that. And again, like that's what I do. That when I'm working with people, sometimes, usually people have been in business for 3 years, because if they're in business for 3 years, they're going to value what I do because they're going to understand how much they have not been able to figure these things out on their own in 3 years. And they're going to understand that just going and making a logo on Canva is not cutting it. Just
Right.
because you can whip something together that looks professional does not mean you're going to sell a damn thing.
Exactly. I got a Facebook page. So?
Yeah, what sells it is you. You sell it.
Yes, and with that, I'm going to bring this image up. Your authentic reflection. That's how you get a hold of Elizabeth right there. There's her phone number if you want to talk to her. If you want to freeze it, you can grab her email address if you're afraid to talk to people and you don't want to use the phone number. Right? That happens sometimes.
Well, I definitely would like to welcome anyone who would like to come to the Women's Empowerment event in October. And then I'm having a baby, so we're going to take 2 months off, and then we're going to start back up in January. And I'm planning to do it every third Friday of the month.
When you say we are taking 2 months off, you mean you and the baby, right?
Yeah.
Not Casey.
That's another story. Yeah, I have a husband who works with me on all these things. He doesn't do the photography, but he does the branding.
Right.
And then he's actually opening his own new business as
I saw some of that. I saw some of that on the internet.
Yeah. So you're going to have him come on and talk to you about what an integration coach is. He'd
Yes,
love to
I do.
Mm-hmm.
It is an integration coach. I like it. Now we've got a new type of coach. That's the life coach.
It's a little bit more ethnically sensitive and Google friendly than saying things like shaman or plant medicine facilitator or all the things that you could say. So
Got it.
he's very excited about
letting the cat out of the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's been brewing. That cat's been trying to get out of there for a while.
A very long time. It's
well,
ready.
Elizabeth, I'm going to sign this one off and put you in the green room. And we do have some low-cal digital hors d'oeuvres back there. They're all organic and healthy, so you can partake in some of that. And there's no fee.
Sounds good.
But I appreciate you taking the time and stick around. I want to talk to you more about some of that other stuff we talked about. So is there anything else you want to share before we disappear?
just check out my website at www.yourauthenticreflections.com.
Yes, with an S, Your Authentic Reflections. Because you're building an empire. There's multiple. It's a real thing.
Yes,
All righty.
exactly.
Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Bye.
There you have it, my friend Elizabeth. Right there, Your Authentic Reflections with an S. And that's all I've got for today. So be nice, be kind. Did I say be nice? I did. Be nice. Peace. See ya. Bye.